All right, so now we went from one-step equations to two-step. And you're going to find this being very, very similar with just one other thing. So watch. I'll do the same problem I did in the other class. I just made that one up. It's not on the worksheet, but you'll see stuff that looks like this. So this time, and it says to solve, obviously, what are we solving for here? Solving for x, okay? So we want to get x by itself, but we got to do two things this time. Instead of just one thing like we did on the last worksheet, we're going to have to do two things. Everybody's watching? Everybody's awake? Eyes open? All right. I know it's warm in here and it's dark in here. I know. It's like the perfect situation, and especially my boring, droning voice, okay? I get it. It's a perfect situation to go to sleep, but you got to fight it, all right? You got to fight out of it. Hopefully, we'll get the air blowing and wake us up a little bit, but I wouldn't count on it. So anyway, let's take a look. Here's the main key to these problems that you're doing right here. When you have two things that are going on with the x, two or more, okay, two or more things that these numbers are doing to the x, you want to, most of the time, I'll say most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time what you want to do is you want to get rid of what's being added or subtracted first. Hear what I just said? Get rid of what's being added or subtracted, excuse me, first. So what do you think we're going to get rid of first here? The 2, the positive 2. Let's get rid of that plus 2, right? Because that's don't get rid of the 3 right now. I could go through and show you what would happen if you tried. I'm not going to, just for time's sake. But I want to get rid of that 2. It's basically, our first step is like a one-step equation, just like what we finished doing, except we're going to have more stuff to do afterwards, all right? How do I get rid of that plus 2? Minus 2, that's right. So subtract 2 from both sides, right? By doing that canceled that out. That's why we subtracted 2, so it would cancel out. Bring everything down. So what am I going to bring down here? A 3x, then a equal sign, and then what's that? 15, good. All right, now we're not done. Yesterday we were finished, right? But now we got one more step to do. That was our first step. So that was our first step right here. Now we have a second step. And it looks just like what we did on the last worksheet. Okay, Josh, what do we do? How do we get that x by itself? Minus 3x? What is that 3 doing to that x? It's multiplying. So we always do the what? The opposite. What's the opposite of multiplication? It's division. So we don't subtract because it's not being added. We what? Divide. That's an important step right there. So we divide by a 3. Why? Because it was being multiplied. The 3 and the x are being multiplied. We do the opposite, which is division. That's how we get rid of it. Do it to one side, do it to the other side. The 3's cancel out. X equals 5. Circle both of those. X equals 5. We're good to go. So there you go. You did your first two-step equation, at least in this class. All right? Let's do one right from the worksheet. I'll do number 1. Tell you what, let's do a different one than number 1. Let's do number 4. I didn't do that in the other class. So this one is a little bit tricky. I don't know, maybe, maybe not. Let's do this. So what am I trying to solve for? What am I trying to get by itself? The n, okay? What do I want to get rid of? What do I want to move over to the other side? The 5? What was my little saying at the beginning? Get rid of what's being what? Added or subtracted first, okay? Okay, write that down somewhere in your notes if you need to. Get rid of what's being added or subtracted first. Owen? Well, I don't care about the answer right now. I just want to go step by step, okay? So it's the process, it's the journey. It's not the destination, it's the journey. So that's what we're doing right now. So I've got to get rid of that 4 because that's being added to this stuff here, isn't it? Right? How do I get rid of that positive 4? I subtract a 4. Very good. Minus. If I do that to one side, what? Do it to the other side. Okay? What happens to these 4's right here? Cancel. Okay? The whole reason that I subtracted is so they'd cancel out. What's this? What's 0 minus 4? It's just negative 4. That's right. It's just negative 4. Equals, that canceled. What am I got here? N over 5. We just did one like this on the one-step equations, right? When we went over the answers to this. All right? So now we're back to where we were. So really, this is just that other worksheet. We just do two things instead of one thing. That's why they call it a two-step equation. Now I got to get n by itself. What do I have to get rid of? The 5. How do I get rid of it? Multiply. Good, because it was being divided, right? Or is being divided. All right, how do you get rid of it? You do the opposite. What's the opposite of division? Multiplication. So we multiply by 5s. Why did I put the 1 there? Say it again. Yeah, there's always like an invisible 1 at the bottom, but why would I even put it there? Because you're working with a fraction here, right? So I like to multiply by a fraction. That's why I put it over 1. Okay, it's not really necessary. I don't know, I just get used to doing that, so that's why I put the 1 there. So if I multiply the left side or the right side by 5, what do I have to do over here? Multiply the left side by what? By 5. Is that Josh's question? Yeah, you can put just a 5. You don't have to put over 1. Is that what you're asking? Yeah, you don't have to put over 1. I just do it because I like the fractions. All right, Owen, now's your big chance. What's your answer? Right, there you go. So 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. I just automatically put the n on the left-hand side. Is that all right? If you put negative 20 equals n, that's okay. But most of the time, we always put the letter first, okay? So I like this better, don't you? Yeah. It's the same thing. If you'd circle that, I'd put a check mark, which means you got it right. Yes, sir. Absolutely. No. You've been here long enough for me to harp on this, haven't you? Show your what? Work. Anybody seen that on their paper with a minus something or other? Anybody seen that? No? Okay, yeah. I got 1 or 2 people are nodding yes. All right. So it depends on how much you didn't show your work. If it's the whole entire thing and all you have is number 1, and then you got 5. Number 2, you got 7. I don't know what these answers are. Number 3, you got negative 3. All right. If all you have is this, all right, and you have 2 steps to show, there's no way I'm giving you hardly any credit for that at all. If your whole entire paper, 1 through whatever, 30, I don't know, how many do we have on this one? 24. 1 through 24, and all you got is just a bunch of numbers next to it because I read them off to you in class and you wrote them down, all right? You'll be lucky if you get 1 point, all right? You may get a 1, all right? If I'm in a mood, I might just give you a 0, all right? Because that doesn't tell me anything. It doesn't tell me anything. I don't care what the answers are for your homeworks. Quiz, test, obviously, I care, all right? It's important. I'm not saying I don't care what the answers are, but as far as your homework is concerned, I don't look at your answers. I look to see if you gave it some effort. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for effort. How do I know that you gave some effort? If you do what? If you show your work. So, long answer, but yes, you must always, if you can, show your work. What if I had this? What if I had x plus 2 equals, even that you could. Yeah, watch. Even if I had something as simple as that, you could still show your work. I know you can do that in your head. I know it. But I want to see how you got the answer. I want to see how you got the answer. How did you get it? You subtracted 2 from both sides. You brought it down and you got x equals 5. That's what I want to see. I want to see that. Everybody got it? Can't be any more straightforward than that. All right? That's about as plain as I could possibly be. All right, let's do another problem. Let's do number 8. This is from the worksheet, okay? 2 times n plus 5 equals negative 2. Now, your first instinct would be what my first instinct was when I did this in the other class, is probably to do what? Multiply what? Distribute. That would be my first instinct. But let me show you. It'll still work if you distribute. Don't get me wrong, okay? But this will be a little bit easier. Aubrey, you watching all this? Okay, get your head up, please. Thank you. So, what I want to do, you could distribute and it would work. It would be fine. But that would actually give you 3 steps. Okay, we can actually do this in 2 steps. What is that 2 doing to that parentheses? So we could get rid of that 2 right off the bat. Okay, so how do we get rid of something that's being multiplied? Divide. So this may be, somebody in the other class said, I would have never seen that. All right, and that's fine. But now I'm showing it to you. Okay, so now you look for it. All right, if that's the only thing that's going on, that 2 times this parentheses, I can divide that by 2. What will happen with that 2? It'll go what? It'll go away, right? It'll cancel out. But if I divide the left side by 2, I also have to divide the right side by 2. Everybody good? So look what happens. The 2's cancel, and what am I left with? N plus 5 equals, what's that? -1. Good. So that was our first step. Here's our second step. Everybody should see it now. What do we get rid of? -5. Yeah, that should be like as soon as you see that problem, boom, you know exactly what to do. You barely have to think about it. You should be in that situation. All right? Those cancel out. N equals -1 minus 5. Let's do it sideways. It's actually, yeah, let's do it like this. -1 minus 5. That's what it is right there, isn't it? -1 minus 5. So what do we do when we have a minus? We add the opposite. -1 plus -5 is -6. Circle that whole thing, and that's how you do it. We got time for another one. Let me find a real good one. I don't know if they're much harder than that. All right, let's do this one. This one's a little different. I didn't do one like this in the other class, but this is a good one. I bet you anything they'll probably ask me about it tomorrow when we go over the answers. That's an n plus 5 over -16 equals -1. Okay? Remember what I said earlier about you get rid of what's being added or subtracted first? Remember that? This is and I said most of the time you do that, okay? Here's a situation where you don't, okay? You do not get rid of that plus 5 because what is that whole entire, what's happening to that whole entire numerator right there? It's being divided. It's getting divided. Good, I like that. It's getting divided by what? -16. So that's the thing that we want to get rid of first because everything on the top is being divided by that -16, right? So I want to get rid of that -16 first. Kind of flies in the face a little bit of what I said about get rid of what's being added or subtracted first. This is a situation where you get rid of the denominator first. So I multiply by a -16 over here, and what do I do over here? Multiply by a -16. So that's the key to this problem right there. The rest is easy after that, okay? But that's the key, right? The -16 cancels with that -16. What do I bring down? N plus 5 equals, and then multiply this out. -1 times -16, positive 16. And then one more step. Next step, super easy. Everybody knows how to do that. What do we do? -5 minus 5, n equals positive 11, and that's my answer right there. So there you go. I did a couple of problems for you that are right, maybe 3 problems, that are right from the worksheet. You still have to do them, but at least you know what the answers are and how to do them. Everybody good? All right, so this is called worksheet 8. Again, when I printed these out, I forgot to write the 8 on there. So when you get the worksheet, first thing you do is just write a big old 8 at the top, okay? So that when we talk about which worksheet, you know which one we're talking about. This is worksheet 8. Everybody good? All right.